Let's get involved. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Vaabs Podcast. Vaabs. To my right is my beautiful, esteemed host, Davey Delicious D. I'm Captain Lebrazel in the chair here today for you guys. It's a very special episode.
I'm very excited. It's been a crazy weekend.
Yeah, it's been a crazy weekend, crazy day. But yeah, I feel like this is probably one of the biggest that we've had.
Definitely. I'm been beyond excited right now.
Yeah, definitely. Guys, today on the second last day, the tour is over, actually. So we have a very, very special international guest here, hailing all the way from Australia. Probably one of the most insane after last night, one of the most insane rinses I think I've heard in my entire life. Like, absolute gas. The tunes have made me cry in my spare time and also jump after last night. Ladies and gentlemen, a beautiful Vaabs welcome for EKKO and SIDETRACK.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you for being on.
Like, having your tunes make someone cry is such a beautiful.
Can I be so dead ass? I was never going to tell you that, and then I got flustered, and then I was like, yeah, I should actually.
Why wouldn't you tell me that? That's a beautiful thing. That's what I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, 100%. No, it was last night when you played Paperbird.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. I think it was just like a lot of stress and a lot of like all of that stuff. And I used to listen to that car like driving like all the time, like for work and stuff. So like just hearing it last night, and then you being the one that plays it as well, is like, I don't know.
Man, that's massive. Thank you so much. That's like the biggest compliment we can get.
No, that's beautiful.
Lovely. Because that's how I feel emotional about that song.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't play it because, I don't know, when you play a deeper music or that kind of stuff, sometimes it doesn't translate so well onto the dance floor. So being able to play it and having that reaction from people is that's the dream. So
that's what I was trying. Yeah, that's what I was trying to like, or what I see often, like listening to like you speak with Jeff, is you guys put a lot of effort into the whole story. So like in a song, you have a lot of like overarching themes that you want to explore. In a set after last night, I can see like you have like almost a direction or an inclination of where you want to go to. So I guess like, where does that come from as a DJ? Is putting like storytelling above in everything that you do, producing, DJs, all of that?
I think both of us are pretty like story based. Like both of us love reading, both of us love film. I used to study film, and we think about narrative a lot of the time, and especially with sets. Like we used to spend hours and hours kind of planning sets so they had dips and troughs and high points, and like, oh, this is the moment where you tell someone you love them, and like, this is the moment when you're by yourself, and like,
you're gonna make a romance.
This is the redemption moment. And like,
this is the slow dance.
Talking about it in such like flowery and like philosophical terms, and I often would draw graphs and be like, we want our sets to start high and then go down, and then they come back up, and then there's a surprise, because we feel like everything in life is a narrative. Everything has structure. Everything is like a beginning, a middle, of an end something. So I think we just think in that way, and sometimes we think about it too much, and it feels like it doesn't connect with people, or maybe people subconsciously connect with it. But again, hearing that it does
do that,
induce emotions from people, and people do get that feeling, is very gratifying. And so it's great that other people think about music how we think about music, which is 100%. Awesome.
And then last year when you finished the album and everything, you said that it almost takes like a year for you to kind of understand how you feel about it and to actually like kind of get the gratification for it.
Yeah.
Did you eventually get it, and like how does it feel now comparatively to then?
I think when you're writing an album, the writing process of it is very emotional, and that's the creative time.
Yeah.
And
that's
then you
feelings.
Like all the feelings, all the, like, you're trying to kind of reach for all the experiences you've had in your life that you want to put into an album. Because like every producer or every musician wants to write an album, right?
Yeah.
Like
100%.
that's the dream. You're 12 years old, you want to be in a band, you're like, I want to write an album about
singer,
heartbreak and like, depression and all this stuff. And then when you finally get to do it, you're going back and digging up all these things and all these experiences to put into the album.
Yeah.
So it's like an emotional experience. And then you put it out there, and then it very quickly goes from being an emotional experience to being a commercial experience.
Yeah.
And to being like, what are the numbers? How are the numbers going? Or like, is it selling well? Or like, do people care?
Yeah.
And it's strange because nowadays you measure success a lot of the time by
Numbers.
statistics.
Yeah.
How many likes did you get? How many streams did you get? Whatever it is. And so there's like a dip because I felt like the album, I think writing albums in drum and bass is a bit defunct. Not many people listen to 10 tracks in a row.
Yeah.
People barely listen to a whole song. And so directly after it, I definitely felt that no one really gave a fuck about the album. And that's fine. You know, like I don't think we're at a level where I don't think we're big enough to write an album and people care about as much.
But also, I feel like that's, I don't know, it
like
sounds...
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
maybe,
like
yeah,
imposter syndrome.
Potentially.
Because, like when I listen to it, like
absolutely.
I imagine like everybody goes through their own kind of emotions and all of that. And I think, again, you said, because I know you've been outspoken about being like, you get caught up in the metrics almost.
Yeah.
So I feel like your line of thinking now is almost still within the metrics of like, no one cares as much as they could.
Well, that's the, like, a week after.
Yeah.
Because you're leading up to this point.
Yeah.
You've done all this work, you've done all this promo, and then you're like, the album's out, and everyone's like, sick. And then a week later,
It's like, so what
no
do we
one
do?
cares.
Yeah.
And the next thing, the news cycle is just so quick. Everyone just wants something new. And initially, it's like building and building and building. It's basically like having sex and you think you're going to come, and then you don't come.
Hate that.
And it's
both
just
lying
like the
down.
letdown.
But like lying down in bed waiting.
Because no one talks about like the feeling of releasing an album and you celebrate and then
What are you doing?
there's like nothing.
Yeah.
And so that's when you start measuring the metrics and you're like, oh, maybe we did something wrong and blah, blah, blah. A year later, so we released the album just over a year ago. And now I think the metric of it is gone and I can now experience it in more of an artistic way and hear people's reactions to it. And obviously touring and hearing people talk about the album and talking about how they feel about songs and how they meant things to them that I didn't hear about. Like a guy last night at the club said, man, This Was Not Meant to Be Easy is my favorite song off the album. I fucking love that song.
Yeah.
Who's Jamie? And I was like, Jamie's just a name that Sarah came up with because it phonetically fit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I love that song too. It's like emotional. He's like, man, it just hit me. I was, I think he was going to move from Joburg, or like maybe he was coming to Joburg, or like he was moving somewhere. Maybe he'd finished uni. He was going through this transitional period.
Yeah.
And he was like, it just hit me, man. I listen to it all the time. It's such like an emotional song for me. And those type of things you only hear about when you talk to people about it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a rare thing, because you don't know how someone's experiencing a song.
No.
You just hear that song's been streamed 100,000 times.
And especially on the stream as well, you get such a disconnected like joy of it, because it's like
Yeah.
you get 100,000 streams and it's like you don't get the words that come from the people saying, I really love this, and I love what you did with
And
this
like
thing.
some people, like we've gotten messages from people, which is really nice. We've had some great messages. Like both us and Ruth have got great messages about Paper Birds. Like people have got like Paper Birds tattoos and like
that's cool.
that type of stuff. But it's rare that you get someone to reach out about a song.
Yeah.
So it's like the gift that gives for a long period afterwards, because people come up to you and say stuff years after you wrote it.
Yeah.
Like I haven't forgotten about This Was Not Meant to Be Easy, but I haven't thought about that tune until that guy said something to me last night, and I was like, fuck. We did something that like impacted someone. Or like, I mean, you had some tears when Paper Birds. Like that's why we wrote that song. And we didn't know that would happen when we wrote it. But I know it's like the emotions of music can time travel in some way that, you know, even 4 years after we released the track, it's still is as present and has the impact that it does,
100%.
even after you forget about it.
Mm.
And I think as artists, like, we need to be reminded of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you can be in your own head and be like, no one cared about that song.
Yeah, and then it's like everyone loves it. They just won't be able to tell you it because it's like
exactly.
you're not touring kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And even more so, like being a performer as well, like being a DJ, going out and actually playing the song live for people. That must also take like a different like stand to your producing as well. Like, do you ever find yourself in the studio and when you're like making a song, you're like, okay, I feel like I should make this change because it'll mix better with like if I wanted to do something like this? Or because I remember seeing a video where you guys like essentially broke down a song of what it started like and then what you changed it into and then what else it became when you touched it again. And
Jeff and I write lots of different versions of songs.
Yeah.
And often I think in that video we were talking about keep the energy.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
And there's I think when you have a song idea, it has to be executed within 3 hours of the idea.
That's
right?
bold.
But like, you don't think about the mix. Don't think about anything. You just need to put the song down, and then that's the song.
Yeah.
You had a lightning kind of idea. You just need to stick to that, and that's the song. And then you can mix it later, and whatever, finish it later.
Yeah.
It's a problem if you keep working on that song, because in producing you just listen to loops.
Yeah.
And if you listen to something 20 times, 30 times, 40 times, you get sick of it. And that's when you start changing it. And I think that often happens, probably with me more so, because I've got ADHD. So I'm like, this is going to like shit now. Like, let's do something else. So it's easy to change it. And so I think you can, you've really got to stay true to the original idea you had. And then once that idea is done, or like basically we talk about it like vomiting the idea out onto the screen, then you can mix it, then you can adapt it to be more DJable, or like potentially change the key so it's a bit more friendly to drum and bass, because everyone wants songs in F, G, maybe E. Like, so you can change it for that sake, but it's always key to not take the emotional bed away from the song.
Yeah.
Sometimes we've written songs in weird keys, like a key that's not so DJ friendly, E flat major, or like C major.
I really wish we could jump onto like, but now tonight I'm gonna be like, what is a C flat?
They're all just kind of like happy sounding, I guess.
Yeah.
And not particularly conducive to bass frequencies.
Oh, okay.
But then you change the key and it changes the emotional feeling.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you start pitching down keys, every key has a different emotion. Something might feel mysterious, or something might feel euphoric, or something might feel dark, or something like that. So as long as you don't lose the original emotional thread of the song, you're fine.
You're good, yeah.
But it gets confusing when you lose the emotional thread and it becomes a new song. And so often we'll, with Keep the Energy, that I think there's a clip that we showed that it was like, I did change it completely to a song, like a different song. And Jeff's like, that's just a different song.
Do something else.
Just write 2 tracks. Like, why are you changing this? This is what this song does. It has a lead. It goes bop 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 bop. That's what it does.
Yeah.
And often I can, and excuse the pun, I can get sidetracked quite easily. But it's good. That's also what's good about having 2 people. Yeah. Because you've got each other to keep each other in line. If one person goes off too much, you're like, hey, get back here.
How does your production process, do you guys have relatively the same process and everything, or is it kind of you take both ideas from each other kind of thing?
We used to write a lot more together in the studio. But I think that occasionally leads to disagreements. Yeah. And so now we write by ourselves more and have demos, and we'll present the demo to the other person. Oh. So we've just got like a a communication app called Chanty. We used to use fuck, I don't know. It's some corporate communication app, whatever. And we've just got a demo list. So it's like demos from Jono, demos from Jeff, and we just send each other demos.
I hate it.
And you give feedback on that demo, and the other person comes back and does another version of it, and then we come together and mix it, or you do some writing, or you give the other person the project because they hear something in it.
Yeah.
But it saves a lot of time, because if you're together and you're talking about a bass note should go here, or this chord should do this.
Yeah.
You have two different opinions, you have two different tastes, you have two different ears.
Yeah.
And we would get stuck in this, like, no, it should be like a C chord, not a D major chord. And you'd be like, well, D major sounds better. Like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, it's like,
why aren't you
like, how did you get this taste with the same blood?
We grew up listening to the same tracks.
Yeah, and so like it's better to produce apart. But then when it comes to mixing or like finishing the track, it's always best to do it together.
Yeah.
And then there's sometimes that, you know, like for the album, for instance, we wrote everything together. We spent 14 days or 12 days down in Denmark in Southwest Australia and just wrote music and just jammed together and had ideas, because there is like a synergy between us because we are brothers that is undeniable if it's going well. And we read each other's minds, and we can feel this like communication between us that leads us to write songs that are, I think, like a lot of our most popular songs were really written under those circumstances where it's like both of us in there. It feels free flowing. It's very it's like improvisation. It's like yes anding all the time. You know,
as I feel like it's, as well with writing the album as well, it's like it's an emotional journey as well. So it's like nice to be there with your brother, like kind of you're both going through it, like both understanding what it's bringing out of you.
Yeah, I think, man, it's like I don't know how I'd produce by myself, to be honest, because you need that like. I guess we're so close and we've been together for so long that I think like that kinship is just such a big part of our music.
Yeah.
That if I wrote, I mean, we've written songs by ourselves, obviously, but like you want that opinion, you want the feedback, you want the other person's idea.
Yeah. You kind of don't want to be stuck in the echo chamber of it.
No.
That's
Hey, no pun intended.
No pun.
It's the second song.
We're getting fired. I saw the looks on the side there. So you are wrapping up, you have wrapped up your South African tour here with the church crew. Shout out church.
Yes, big up
the
church
is massive.
family.
100%.
The boys and the girls.
When you get back to the Lapa there in Australia and Jeff's sitting beside you, and what's the thing you're most excited to tell him about?
About South Africa?
Yeah.
I think the people. The people, like, you know, everyone I've met on this trip has just been such a solid person.
Yeah.
And I think me and Jeff are really people.
People.
And that's like that's the kind of the best part about being able to tour around, is meeting people, creating connections, having friends, like everywhere in the world. And so I would say the people, the friendliness of the people, and then I don't know. Yeah, probably the people is the thing that I think about most, and the experience. And I want to bring him back.
Yeah.
Like, we have to come back, stay longer.
That'd be beautiful.
Yeah. That'd be magic.
Because that's what I think, it's like 5 days. It's like you can barely see like one city.
No,
and
it's
it's
like
the whole
taste.
country.
But man, like, you know, we've had having a day in both Joburg and Cape Town is more than you usually get.
Yeah.
Usually it's like arriving quite late, go to the hotel, go to the show, go to the airport, see you later.
Yeah.
So it's quite nice to be able to do some touristy stuff or see the city, or
so at least like a calm before the storm, before the show.
and that's the other thing, like you can acclimatize a bit.
Yeah,
because it can be a bit dry to go from a silent hotel room into a club.
Yeah, I think it's nice as well because it's like you were at the party from when it started basically. So it's like you kind of get a feel for how the energy is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like you're like, okay, maybe they'll gel with this, maybe they won't.
And you feel more comfortable, and you can have some drinks, and you meet some people, and it feels more yeah, it feels more like homely.
Yeah, like a genuine feeling.
I find like as you become a professional DJ, you do more performance, and like you're doing a job.
Yeah.
You know, I can go up and I do a job, and I can do that job no matter what the circumstances. If I'm hungover, if I'm tired, if I'm jet lagged, whatever, I'm sober, whatever it is, I can do that job. But I much prefer, as a human, the enjoyment of doing it is increased when I actually am in the moment and performing for friends, basically.
Yeah.
Because that's what you want to get to. You want to feel like I'm going to smash the fucking shit out of this set because I'm playing in front of my friends. I'm impressing people.
Yeah.
Like it's a party. I'm not just going in dry being like, I've got a job, my flight's in 3 hours.
Yeah, and it's like you're proud to play what you're going to play as well.
Yeah.
It's like,
and I think that comes through. There's like a deeper emotional connection.
That's the thing.
And it's, I don't know, I'm not interested. I think that's just more enjoyable. It's more enjoyable to do it that way than to just be an in and out guy.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
sometimes you have to be an in and out guy because of flights or because of lifestyle choices or whatever. But if I can, I would prefer to spend as much time with the people that I'm playing with or playing for, so you just have more of an idea of what you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Like that.
Yeah, that's very beautiful, man. Sure. And in terms of like your expectations of SA, like as a Joel scene, like when you think of other parties that you've played across the world, how does South Africa hold up?
Be brutally honest.
Be brutally honest.
But not too
You
honest.
didn't dance enough.
No, I think you guys danced more than anyone else, to be perfectly honest. I think there's, I think part of that is because potentially you guys don't get as many internationals come through.
Mm.
And a lot of conversations I had last night, everyone was like, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
And it felt like it was a treat that I was there. And I said to them, I was like, well, thank you for coming because I couldn't be here if you guys didn't want me to be here.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can play in countries where they're, you know, every other weekend they've got an international.
Yeah.
So they can be a bit more, what's the word? I don't know. They're just like, they're not as responsive to the music, or they don't dance as much. They're not as hungry for it.
Yeah.
And the best shows you play is when the crowd is just gagging for it and just wants to be there.
Absolutely retching for it.
Yeah, and like, you know,
Jumping
you play
over
some
fence.
shows and no one knows who you are.
Mm.
Or you play some shows and you're playing after a massive DJ, so they're tired. Or you play some shows and everyone's
Really let a dog come on frame.
Dog on set.
everyone's like had too much ketamine, so they're just kind of swaying.
Everyone's in the
Yeah.
bathroom.
Yeah.
Stuck.
Yeah.
Big holes.
Can't open the door.
So like this, I think last night in Joburg was the most responsive crowd I've had very recently.
That's crazy.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you rather have it as everyone knows who you are when you're playing, or no one knows who you're playing?
Ooh.
In the sense, like, you kind of get like a clean slate and like you get to just mess around, or like everyone shows up for you?
It depends if they're a fan of drum and bass, because I've
Oh.
played shows where no one knows who I am, and they're not really there for drum and bass, and it feels like
then-
you're forcing drum and bass on people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, the fuck is this?
They're like rethinking. It's like, maybe I should just play pop or something.
Yeah.
Guys like house music.
Yeah, I've thought it's funny. I've had that thought even.
Oh,
though
no.
we would never play that music. We don't have pop on our USBs. We don't have any other music. We don't have house music. It's just drum and bass. But I've had that thought in the back of my mind. I'm like, how do we get these people to dance? Like, do I need to play
I'm
some?
gonna need to rent a USB. Like,
Yeah.
He just plugs in the bootlegs USB.
But I think like I probably had that earlier on in our career, and then as we did more shows, you just be like, fuck it, let's just have fun.
Yeah.
And it becomes, especially if I'm with Jeff, it becomes just like two people mixing like we used to mix in our parents' house on decks, and just like surprising each other with doubles, and
Yeah,
you know, that it becomes just like that, and we mix for each other.
Yeah.
that's nice.
So I would prefer to mix for people that knew who I was,
Oh.
or at least were expecting drum and bass.
Yeah, genre specific
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah. Okay, so we here at Vaabs Podcast have a little bit of a segment. So it's called a Vaab check. David, please tell our beautiful international what a Vaab check is.
A vibe check is essentially where we give you a good vibes, bad vibes question. You can answer good vibes, bad vibes.
Is there a spectrum?
There is actually.
Or it's like black and white, like
like
good
someone
vibes, bad vibes.
Literally the last episode.
Someone else as well.
Can I say like kind of good vibes or like?
You can relatively
Whatever
go into
you
the nitty
freestyle
gritty
it,
of
man.
it.
Okay.
Like,
So the first Vaab check is Vaab check on nostalgia. Good vibes or bad vibes?
Nostalgia.
Yeah.
As in the
Feeling
the
of-
feeling of nostalgia.
Yeah. Like when you smell a perfume and you're like, fuck sakes. Or like, yeah. In
like
like
you're
a.
going through something.
What? Just an example.
Yeah, man, it's okay.
I was going through it, let me tell you.
Smells are very nostalgic.
Yeah.
I think if nostalgia can be a beautiful thing, but if you get stuck there, it's
Yeah.
dangerous
Oh, the Harry Potter mirror.
because it's living in the past.
Yeah.
That thing is done. That's you're never going back there. So it's dangerous to get stuck in. But if you can be there for 3 seconds and appreciate what you had, whether that's your ex-girlfriend's perfume or a street you used to live in or whatever it is,
Yeah.
then I think it can be quite a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But if you lament and
On nostalgia.
hold on to that and then like go buy the perfume of your ex-girlfriend and like put it on your pillow and then like we wish we were together, that kind of thing. Then it's dangerous because you're
Yeah.
technically living in the past.
Yeah, 100%.
But I think, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a hoarder, but I definitely hold on to silly things.
Like gifts
From
like, from
moments.
everyone.
I've got like, I don't know, like 5 rocks in my house that have been collected from like one's from Iceland, one's from Spain, and I can barely remember what rock is from where, but
Oh,
I've still
no.
got the rocks.
Yeah.
Or I've got like diaries from, because like I try to journal as much as I can. I've got journals from 5-6 years ago. I've got like birthday cards from
Pottery.
things, pottery.
Can
waiting.
we talk about the hobbyist
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, we can- absolutely.
Start
We had the conversation last night, right?
That's such a beautiful thing. Yeah, it's because the more we dive into like a rabbit hole of you, it's just like, oh, he really likes doing things.
Yeah, I mean,
I love doing things.
Because it's like I went to like pottery, then like going to medieval fairs, and then like rock collecting, everything in between.
I wouldn't say rock collecting. I would say
It just feels like you were starting.
it's more like if I see a shiny thing,
Yeah.
and that shiny thing could be a rock, or it could be
Mm.
like a
A shell on the beach.
freaking shell, or like a teapot, or something that just looks
Something
cool,
that-
aesthetically
something
pleasing. I want that thing
Yeah.
around me.
Yeah.
Kind of like an otter collecting like a rock. or
trove
yeah,
of
like
things.
a trophy or something. I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's like when you go to the beach and you're like, oh, I should pick up the shell. It's nice, and then by the end of the trip, you're literally
Yeah.
carrying like
So that's
50
me.
shells, and it's like, why have
So
I done this?
I will often collect shells from
Yeah.
the beach, and then wake up one day and there's just heaps of shells there, or there's shells in my pocket. I'm like, what the fuck?
What the
The
fuck?
beach
These shells
sandy
are-
I
pocket
throw
is
the-
the
and I
worst
throw-
thing to
And I
do.
throw them out.
Yeah.
But in the moment,
Love it.
it was integral and the perfect thing to do
This-
to collect that shell. And if I hadn't, I might regret it.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
When you get home and like check your pocket, like I wish it was there.
Yeah.
Fuck these shells.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Next Vaab check. Vaab check on 4x4s and drum and bass.
Great.
Good vibes, bad vibes.
Good vibes. I think it's cool. Like I'm always down for drum and bass doing a different rhythm to what we usually do.
Oh, yeah.
And if that's for stuff, I think that's cool.
Yeah.
I think it can become a bit passe when it's continuously done in the same way.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel it can become a trope.
Yes.
And especially
Yeah,
now,
I
like
agree.
whatever it is whether it's like a drum beat, or whether it's like a lead sound or whatever, a technique can become just a bit overdone. And often there's one song that kind of rules. It's just done
That's
so
it,
well
yeah.
that no one else does it again.
Yeah.
Like, I think recently, a Fender by Dimension was the first like hardstyle, or one of the, not the first, but like that he kind of re-brought it up.
Yeah.
And I think that did it so well that everything else afterwards was just
Derivative,
not
kind
as
of.
good.
Yeah.
That said, I barely play a Fender, and when I do 4/4 stuff, I play. I think it's called Reload by the Synergy guys.
Oh, that
Which
Mm.
is such
one
a
of the
sick
most
tune. Yeah, I feel the same about straight drum beats. So it's like kick, snare, like Time Warp.
Yeah.
After Time Warp came out, which was nearly 20 years ago, 15 years ago now, when that came out, a couple of other 4/4 songs came out, or like kick, snare songs came out, but they kind of died off because it was just not as good as Time Warp.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
So I think it's cool if it fits the song. What I don't agree with is someone being like, I don't know what to do.
Banger 4.
Put
I
a
was gonna
4/4
say
kick in
it's
there.
almost like a reliance thing.
Because you hear it in songs and you're like, that I didn't think that should
Doesn't
happen.
really
Yeah.
need that, yeah.
And that's when it becomes a trope and it becomes a crutch.
Mm.
If it fits a song, yes. If you're just putting it in because you don't know what else to do.
Yeah, it's like you're scared to play a roller, play a 4x4. Never mind.
Yeah, exactly. Because they also, like in DJ sets, it's so impactful.
Yeah, 100%. It just changes up like a whole vibe. I think it's just because it's so different. Like in terms of, like there was a question if we had more time. I don't want to get into it too much now, but like just the different sounds of drum and bass over like continents, like how like UK drum and bass sounds a very specific way, and then you have American drum and bass, and then like I don't know if you think like there's a like a sound specific to like Australian drum and bass where it's almost like people follow this kind of structure just because of like where they're from or like what the people there like to listen to.
I think Australian drum and bass is definitely led by Pendulum. And maybe it's just because Pendulum are from Perth, we're from Perth, Shock One's from Perth.
Yeah.
And so Carl, Shock One, used to be in a band with Pendulum.
Yeah.
Rob started producing his Pendulum, starts making drum and bass with like a metal and rock kind of influence. Carl sees that. He also does a similar thing. We see Carl do that. We also do a similar thing.
Yeah.
Pendulum's like one of the first drum and bass things I ever heard.
Yeah.
And same with Jeff. So it's like that's massively impacted us.
Mm.
And I think that's the same for all of Australia in some way. Everyone always cites Pendulum and probably
Yeah.
beyond. I think the UK has definitely more of like a jungle and more, I don't want to say intelligent, but maybe like a deeper ocean to farm in terms of drum and bass.
Yeah.
Like a lot of younger people grow up listening to jungle music and like, I don't know, sound system music and that type of stuff, which isn't as big in Australia.
Yeah.
So it's probably richer in heritage in the UK, probably more rocky in Australia. America, I would say, is more, they lean towards probably more rock, probably more melodic stuff.
No.
Europe, definitely more based around like progressive house, trance, melodic stuff. Not so much jungle breaks,
Yeah.
that type of
Yeah.
thing.
That's a nice way to look at it as well. Because I never
But-
once separated Europe and the UK. I kind of
Yeah.
put them in the
Yeah.
spectrum on their own.
No, they're two different entities.
Yeah.
And like obviously like people in the UK love, Sub Focus and Wilkins and stuff, but there's
Yeah.
like a real underlining, that's the home of rave music, be it like drum and bass, hardcore, dubstep, like whatever, any kind of breakbeat stuff. And so that's just in their blood.
Yeah. It's going to
Somehow,
happen kind of thing.
And like that's why you see people like fucking Kings of the Rollers, Grey, Kara, fucking Flavor D, whatever. People using breaks, like making music basically like Shy FX.
Yeah.
Shy FX was making that music in 1995.
Yeah.
And it's still just so embedded.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
getting
100%.
transformed the entire time, getting reused.
Yeah. And like that's just there. I don't think that would work so much in Australia.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
can't really think of any producers, not that I know every producer in Australia, but I can't really think of any producers in Australia that's making that kind of sound. Everyone's using big snares and melodies and
I think it's our big thing as well, because we often think about like what they say like drum and bass would sound at its like purest form, and like you kind of get lost in a while because it's like we haven't kind of gone through what jungle was going through in that sense to be created.
Well, it's interesting that I've seen for the last 2 nights. I mean, it's 2 nights. It's not that much to base on, but I've seen everything work. You know, I've seen like rollers work. I've seen super heavy dance floor stuff work. I've seen some jungly bits work. I've seen. It seems like they're a fan of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's because it's like our scene isn't like
as big as where you can like pick and choose. Like, oh, I'm only going to jungle parties because jungle parties only happen like once every fork-off.
Yeah.
But then it's like, oh no, I'm only going to like. And also, there are scenes where it's like there are specific sounds. So like if you go to like one kind of party, it's like you expect that darker, like longer kind of, I don't know, rolly drum and bass. Yeah. And then there's other ones where you go and you have your hands in there and you fucking just jiving. So
shaking your booty.
You're shaking your booty. Shake your booty, Faker.
They're the ones I like. I like
the
good booty shaking.
That's where we're at.
That's where we were at last night. But yeah, I think that's probably what that is. Yeah. And our final vibe check of the night, because I'm getting eyes, I'm getting helicopters over there. I could talk to you for honestly 3 hours. It's just so
I'm ready to also do.
We'll find out.
Right, are we getting the go ahead, Ryan? Are you? Oh, yeah. Wow, man. Final vibe check of the night is vibe check on South Africa.
Easy one. Hopefully.
Base it out. We ask everyone. This is just.
I've loved it. Like I didn't really have any expectations.
Yeah.
But really, it's surpassed potentially what I thought. Like it's been such a fun time. Again, hanging with the church crew.
Shout out the church.
And like,
big church.
Everyone I've met has been so nice, has been so accommodating, has been so interested in music, has been so interested in drum and bass. Great conversations, responsive to music, love to party, great drinks, great food, great hangs, great tourist stuff to do. It's just been a dream. Yeah. It's been lovely. I want to come back.
Oh, that's beautiful.
We'll have you back any day.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Jono, thank you so much for
thank you
chatting
guys.
to us, man.
That's I really wasn't seeing being on a podcast in my future, but this is great. I'm really glad we could do this.
Thank you so much for being open to it as well. Like I know you.
Of course, we're always open. Jeff and I happily will talk under any circumstance.
I think it's really nice because it's like you saying that would make it seem like you're very opinionated and almost stuck in your ways, but the way that you talk about everything is as well. It's like you're very open to anything and understand it. Where it's like it's a nice change of pace.
We just like having conversations, I think, and just like talking about how you feel or think about things. Like we're not particularly media trained people. Like I think I'd do quite poorly if I had to only answer something in like a 2-sentence soundbite. Like we're both very much like ready
like
to talk.
Like the interview at UKF would be like this long.
Oh yeah,
like, how was your day today? And it's like,
man, on radio, like we've done radio before, and both Jeff and I just give such long-winded answers, and like kind of go to too many philosophical places, and just feel like we could do a podcast. And the radio person's like, and and we don't have any time for another question. We're gonna go to the next song.
There's been an accident, please.
Like
we need to alert the masses.
I mean, that's why we started our podcast, is because we would just talk and think about these things. And
how was it when you guys were living like apart for that long as well?
It was interesting. I think it was good to have time apart because we've been in each other's pockets for so long and we're so close, and so it was nice to have time apart. And we probably learned things about ourselves being away from each other.
Yeah.
But it was also, it was tough. It was through COVID. I was in London. Jeff was back home in Perth. But I think it led to, I was talking about narrative stuff before. And I think it was integral for us to be apart, to then learn things about ourselves, produce separately, have experiences separately, to then come back and do the album. I think if COVID hadn't happened, I think we would have written a completely different album, and I think we probably would have written one potentially slower.
Even without that, you can kind of pinpoint how the impact would have been as well.
Yeah, because I mean, like we originally 2019, 2020. I think we released like two songs in 2020.
Yeah.
And then we did the album and started writing it in 2021, 2022. And then released it a year later. And I just think, I don't know, it was... COVID affected the music we wanted to write because we weren't really doing shows.
Yeah.
No.
And I think that caused us to both write music that was... And doing the Denmark trip as well.
Yeah.
Caused us to write music that might not be as conducive in a club scenario. Like I re-listened to the album now and I'm like, this is quite light.
Yeah.
Like it's not... There's a couple of DJ tools on there, but it's a lot of like listening music.
That's what I was worried about because I saw like clips from the Cape Town show and like you were throwing. So I was like, oh, I'm not going to hear like the lighter stuff.
No.
Like, sing along, relax. And you still managed to make it work and make it fit like properly.
Because, man, that's the stuff that, you know, we both obviously like respond to a lot. Like stuff like Delight or This Was Not Meant to Be Easy or Synchronize or like big euphoric numbers are what we is what we respond to.
No.
And in our sets we always try to obviously play those tunes, but we want those moments. Like when I was 18 and first going to raves, and I may or may not have been under the influence of ecstasy, and I was sitting on the dance floor and hearing Subfocus play Follow the Light for like the first time, or Andy was playing Follow the Light when it was like a dub. And I remember just like being on the dance floor and having this like euphoric experience and being like, this is peak like experience. This is peak experience. This is what I want to recreate.
Yeah.
Just imagine it was like a massive light just balling you in.
But ultimately I was probably sitting under the stairs somewhere just like cross-eyed.
Like, this is it.
It wasn't as romantic as I think about it now.
The duality of festivals. He was sideways, face down.
But I love that aspect of drum and bass. And even music in general, anything that's like euphoric and gets you feeling something is amazing. And then followed, like you have that feeling and then you drop a fucking gnarly Hazard tune or like a K9 tune or something that's just heavy tear out like a Mephius tune. That kind of change. It's like going from boiling water to ice.
Yeah.
Doing that over and over again, it's just, I feel like that's what drum and bass is.
It's like listening to Jump Up sometimes. It's like Tell Me by Mosey. Like you literally just like, oh my goodness, this beautiful build up. You think it's just gonna be some vibes.
That's what's so
slaps in the back of the
that's
head.
why it's so impactful. That's why it's so impactful.
Yeah.
Like Jump Up with a melodic intro is the best. With Jump Up though, I think I get sick if it's too much Jump Up over and over again.
Yeah.
And that's why I think like in our set last night, we generally play, you know, predominantly dance floor stuff, but I also played a bit of neuro, a bit of lighter stuff, a bit of everything. I'm trying to keep myself interested as much as the punter.
I just think it's nice as well because you can almost give the crowd something to think about when they're leaving. Because it's like, if you played just a dance floor set, it's like, that set was great. There wasn't anything memorable about it. It was just a good set. But it's like, if you change it, it's like, I really enjoyed when you kind of went a bit light. I want to try and find what's in those type of genres.
Well, I think your job as a DJ is to perform and to make people dance, but also to educate.
Yeah.
And so if someone's coming to a club night and they're like, I love Jump Up, and you can play some Jump Up, but then you sell them a song.
Yeah.
We'll also listen to this, I don't know, Deeper Logistics song or this like LSB song or something completely different.
Yeah.
But you mix it in a way that they like it. That just expands their mind. Like we always want audiences to go away from our sets being like, what was that song?
How did you mix that into that kind of
thing was, or like how did you blend those two songs together? Like the greatest I don't know if I did it last night that much, but in the past I've mixed like a really liquid tune with a jump up song.
That's actually a good question.
I wanted to do it. I wanted to play it last night. It's a song called Even If by Caliber. It's a beautiful song. But it mixes really well with like, I don't think it's Killers Don't Die by Hazard, but it's like a gnarly jump up song that just offers a lead over the top.
Yeah.
But it's this confusing thing because even if it's this beautiful kind of soft, it's got a nice vocal in it, like roller, but then with like a gnarly over the top. It's kind of cool and it's kind of confusing and
Yeah. That's beautiful.
make people question.
Yeah, definitely.
I've got one last question, and we can go. What would you say is one of the craziest ones songs you've mixed? Like your most proud mix you've done for like a song? Is it the liquid?
Even if it is 2 drum and bass songs, or if you were just like,
Or like a blend.
yeah.
Sorry, mix is a bad one because it's producing.
Like I think every drum and bass DJ from my generation, or probably from generations before, want to be Andy C.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
what you
know-
put it in the wall. Like,
And I know that like
Kobe.
when I started mixing, and then because like Andy would come to Australia or Perth and play every Australia Day. So the 26th of January every year. So we'd just go see him, and he was so good, and he would do crazy mixes and like pull things out of the bag, and just it was mental. So I think most recently there was a mix. Leveler has done a remix of Screamer VIP, which is originally by Ram Trilogy, which is a 6 song. And I mixed that with Stigma by Noisia. And it's a very heavy, it's a classic, like it feels like an Andy C mix.
yeah.
And we did that at, in New Zealand at, I can't remember when we did it. We did it at some festival in New Zealand. And me and Jeff, like it was building up, it sounded sick. And we did the mix, and me and Jeff felt like Andy C.
Yeah.
And no one else gave a fuck about it. And like it just didn't hit. No one else cared.
Yeah. But it's like we did it.
But like I know, for us, that was a pure Jeff and Jonathan moment of like, this is for us.
Yeah.
Where this is our Andy C moment, basically.
100%.
That's so beautiful.
So probably that mix.
And there's someone definitely in the crowd who's now like, I'm gonna put them up on my wall.
Man, I hope so. I hope there's one guy that's just like, what the fuck happened? Like, because that's how you would react when Andy mixes. Like you do. It excites people.
Yeah.
He's probably the DJ that I see most other drum and bass DJs always watch or go see and still respond, being like,
It's like a vocal reaction.
like like
Yeah.
and seeing, you know, like producers and people that do this all the time have that like, what the fuck response to it. Yeah, always
This guy
exciting.
doesn't miss.
He doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't. He really doesn't miss.
100%.
Oh.
How do you actually listen to music nowadays? Is it just like in terms of what's your like poison? It's like in your car, or like is it like a? Because today there was no music.
No.
I just want to say that today we had a braai. We're here with an amazing drum and bass DJ. Shout out, international drum and bass DJ. Shout out. I have decks in the booth. No one wanted to mix. I said, Shaf, you've had a long night, a long week. It's been okay. Don't worry about it. No music.
I don't really like listening to music. Like I don't really like listening to music loud in a car. I know Jeff doesn't particularly like loud music. It just seems funny. We don't like loud music.
Yeah.
If music's too loud and we can't talk, I find that really irritating.
Yeah.
I think it's like a stimulant overload kind of
It's
thing.
a stimulant overload, and I also I'm interested in talking and having a conversation,
Yeah.
not like listening to a song together. So if I'm listening to music, it'll be when I'm exercising, or when I'm like cooking, potentially cleaning, or driving, or like, I don't know, relaxing maybe.
Mm.
And usually what I listen to is like soft. I think I talked about it in the live Instagram we did, but there's a Danish composer called EKKO, who's like kind of modern classical stuff. It's kind of probably a bit depressing, but it's beautiful. Stuff like that. And also, most recently, Cigarettes After Sex has been my
banger
thing.
come back for them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, next year.
Sick. Like I said to someone last night, because they asked me this question. I said I think I like depressing kind of heroin music, even though I've never done heroin and I have no interest in doing it. Like depressing music, stuff that's like soaked in emotion. Like M83, like just
Few wannabes.
fucking
Outro just blaring.
no, just like triumphant, emotional, like film scores. Film scores is another thing. There's a great. It's an okay movie. It's called Meet Joe Black with Brad Pitt and Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah,
1997, perhaps. Anyway, the soundtrack was done by Thomas Newman, who's the guy that did American Beauty, a lot of like beautiful movies. And there's a song called Whisper of a Thrill was my most listened to song, I think, of last year.
Oh, Hector.
Because it's just such a, I don't know, there's like a progression in it that's just beautiful. That and a song from The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, which Hans Zimmer did the soundtrack to. There's a song there that's just hits an emotional chord in me that I just am so responsive to.
Yeah.
Listen to No Time for Caution when I'm at gym, from Hans Zimmer and Interstellar. And
No Time for Caution. Oh man,
when he's docking.
Interstellar.
I'm
is
crying.
just an incredible soundtrack.
Yeah. Because I think that's all. It's like it's one thing I noticed about it's like you don't notice what's playing immediately. It's like you only notice it when other things come in, and then it's like this background noise is now being uplifted and showing you what it is, and it's just beautiful.
I think the animated Tarzan.
Phil Collins.
Phil Collins, bro.
It's the hardest producer in the world.
Smashed that.
Put your faith in what you must believe in.
Also, the King of Egypt. The animated thing about Moses. It was also a Disney thing.
Yes, I know.
It was around the same time as Tarzan. That's got a banging soundtrack. Soundtracks
are big.
Sick.
Soundtracks are massive, man. EKKO and soundtrack.
EKKO and soundtrack. Maybe we're gonna change our name. That was the third one.
I feel like that's the devil's three. After this one, we don't know what we're gonna unlock.
That's
opening it up. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I know. Thank you so much, Jono.
Bro, thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you
I'm so glad I could be here.
I'd love to chat to you again.
We can't talk after this.
Huh?
We're going to turn the mics off and we just won't interact again.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk over there.
It's just like have
And you guys can't look me in the eye.
Hey, Jono, please could we just have a quick talk after? No,
just ignore me. Pretend I'm not here. We can never talk again.
Is it one of those awkward interactions?
Have a safe flight.
But I have to say it on the podcast, otherwise we won't say anything to be out there.
This is your last chance.
Yeah, but super appreciate you coming on the podcast. Thank you for an amazing tour, an amazing fucking sesh. Shout out the church gang once again. We love every single one of you.
Yes.
With all our hearts over here at VP. And in Oz as well.
Man,
is there anything that you want to shoot down the camera? Tell the people.
No,
You can expect... did it stop?
It literally just stopped. So you just said lost, but just say that again.
Now it's going to be fake.
No, it's going to be fake. I won't do it.
No, you can act.
Sure,
You can do it.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure if
I
You
think
can do it.
Yeah.
Act.
I'm acting like I didn't say all the things I just said.
No, you should just,
I should say
But
them all.
really,
be like,
really
it's
pump
been-
it up though.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
he didn't feel
Low
as
energy last
appreciated.
time. Okay.
We're going to need
Jono wants to feel
double
more.
the energy.
Sorry.
You know, keep the energy, double
it with keep the energy.
Yeah.
We did that once.
We're
We
gonna
doubled
do
the
it.
same tune. It wasn't a double. Anyways. I'll tell you about it later when we're talking so much as best friends. So, guys, thank you so much for coming to another episode of Vaabs podcast. Jono, thank you so much for pulling through. It's been an
thank you so
amazing
much
time
for having
chatting to you. Honestly. Hopefully we get to do this again because, I don't know. I had a lot of fun
Repeat
and feel
session.
like,
Fuck yeah.
yeah, if the sun wasn't so low.
Next time Jeff will be here too.
Oh, that's gonna be so exciting.
bigness. Love
Yeah.
it. We'll come on you.
So we'll,
We'll come to the studio. We'll
Yeah.
revive it.
maybe you guys can revive the podcast.
Yeah, that would be sick. Like,
Oh.
yeah. But yeah, thank you so much. Once again, big up the church crew.
Woo, woo, woo.
Big up the church crew for everything that you guys do. We love you so much. Absolutely beautiful. Hey, get out of here, man. Get out of here. Oh, that's
Thank you
love,
for
man.
keeping up with us because we kept you here very long today.
But now we are going to go.
We all run. We all run.
For Vaabs Podcast, I've been Captain Lives. To my left, it's been the most delicious D you've ever had in your life. And this has been Vaabs Podcast, telling you to always keep vibing. Oi, oi. That's that. Oi. But then he had a family bride today, so he's normally on this.
The Sunday bride's a real thing, huh?
The Sunday brides are serious, man. Yeah. Ruggers. Love it.
Ruggers?
Rugby, yeah.
Okay.
How much South African slang did these people teach you? Because last night I screamed
Lekker
I screamed
and
Brannas.
Chronique? What's that mean?
Geniet is just Afrikaans. That's just part of a language.
What's
really
some
sick.
other slang that you've...
Did they tell you about Joel?
Yeah, Joel party.
Joel's
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
Joel's a big.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Oh, and now.
Hey, no.
Now.
That's
Just
time. That's
now.
time dilation there.
Yeah.
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 Did you hear any eight-ties or awares?
No.
Aware.
What does
No, aware.
aware mean?
Awares just like,
Oh, yeah. That's
Oh,
like
just
a
like
greeting.
sick.
Yeah. Oh, there's big shit here. Lily,
Okay.
eight-ties like, hello.
please
Okay.
go.
Oh, wait. Hey.
Aware can be used in any of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Like at the airport, just when you check in, you're like, aware. I can see you'll probably get
I'll get upgraded to business.
Yeah.
Oh, no, this is all in the podcast. This is all
Vibes.
going to be in the podcast.
Yeah, we barely cut anything out,
cuts.
unfortunately.
Good. No cuts.
No cuts.